Welcome back to Attorneys on Call. We have a special guest in studio with us now. Bob, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, this is Chase Dudley. Chase is a young man that asked us to help him with a case several years ago. He was on a motorcycle, and someone almost just, it appears deliberate, but you know it's not. People don't want to hurt other people deliberately, and just pulled right in front of him, and he had no choice. And like other motorcycle operators, you don't have little fender benders, and you don't get whiplash and those kind of injuries. You get very serious injuries, and Chase did. And I saw him. We talked a little before we came out into the studio, and I'm just so glad to see him. He looks so healthy. He's always been a nice-looking guy, but his mouth was all is missing teeth. He was a wreck, literally.
Yeah.
And had a lot of serious orthopedic injuries, underwent a lot of surgeries. But it was a pleasure to represent him. I can talk about my clients all day, and I know we don't have that much time, but I would call him at some of the worst times, and he always had a great attitude. And, a lot of young people wouldn't have done that, and I just have a lot of respect for him. But I'll let you, you can talk to him and ask him questions. I've also learned he's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
And,
well, he was telling me outside the studio when we were off camera a little bit about he was studying some engineering work for Caterpillar, did a lot of that, right? And tell us a little bit about the accident and what happened. Bob had said you were on a motorcycle, but can you kind of recreate what happened?
Yeah, so I was leaving my house to go meet a friend in Raleigh, and the next thing I remember being on the bike at the house, and I never made it. I woke up a few days later in the hospital, but through reconstruction, I know what happened, so I got almost there, and there was a turning lane, and an elderly man pulled out of the turning lane directly in front of me, and I had no choice but to hit the car, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was 3 days, well, you were unconscious for about 3 days before you woke up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Did you know at that time, I mean, you're probably thinking.
I didn't know what had happened. My dad had to tell me a few times that I was in a motorcycle wreck, and I had to keep asking him. I didn't believe it.
Right.
And I had a lot of injuries, and I had to go through several surgeries. But I didn't know what was going on at first.
I bet.
Yeah.
How long were you in the hospital, do you know?
I was in the hospital for a month.
For a month.
A month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bob did say you had several surgeries.
Yeah.
What
I had surgery on my spleen to stop internal bleeding. I had surgery on my jaw. I had broken my jaw, my left wrist. I had knee surgery, all kinds of stuff.
So at that point, I'm assuming you're just saying, I'm happy to be alive.
Yeah, I was definitely thankful to be alive.
How did it, when you got to the point where you said, or how did you come to the point where you said, I need someone on my side to represent me, and how did you come to the Whitley Law Firm?
I had family helped guide me to that process. I had a family member that had been represented by the Whitleys before, and they recommended them and got me everything to get set up with them. And then Ben actually came to my hospital room.
Okay.
And I woke up one day and he was sitting there. So that's when I got to meet him, and that was pretty cool.
So what was that initial period like when you started working with Ben and the firm, and tell me about that process?
They just got all the facts and all the information that they needed to proceed, and it made my life easier having them. They knew exactly what to do. Went through all the records that I had, and everything necessary. Contacted the state troopers and everything, and really went the distance to help help win my case.
I mean, at that point, you're just worried about trying to get healthy again, right?
Yeah,
The last
yeah.
thing you want to have to worry about is the legal situation.
Yeah,
That's why you have Bob.
That's what they told me, and they told me don't worry about that. Just focus on getting better.
Right.
And they said don't worry about all the legal stuff, that they were taking care of it.
Bob, when you go back to that point where, I think it's, first of all, it says a lot to me that Ben Whitley is in your hospital bed when you wake up. That shows me that there's compassion, there's empathy, there's a willingness to help, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I first got involved in the case, and I fortunately I've reached a point in my practice that I can pick and choose which cases I want to get really involved in. And I had just handled a case for another chase with a very similar story. And, you know, there's part of this story, too, Drew, that I hope people appreciate. You know, his dad got the same kind of call that the other chase's dad got. And
That
they
it was
don't.
touch and go.
Huh?
Yeah.
That it was touch
Yes,
and
very serious.
go. Yeah.
Come to the hospital.
Right.
And, you know, as a father and a grandfather, I just don't know there's anything worse or more stressful than that.
Absolutely.
And in both cases, both chase cases, you know, the chase survived, and not only survived but thrived.
Okay.
And so, you know, there's a human side of what we do.
Absolutely.
And we've got to be as conscientious and as eager to help people like Chase once we get the case, as it appears that so many lawyers are in order to get a case.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see, they got a lot of enthusiasm with a lot of the 30-second lawyer ads.
Oh, yeah.
They can get money for you and help you. And I don't mean to be critical of that, because people do need to know, people that are injured like
Sure.
Chase, he had his family to rely
Yeah.
on, but some people don't.
Right.
And they don't know what to do. So the only
Right.
information they may get is from a 30-second TV commercial.
Yeah.
But I think his case, we really analyze it, and a little bit more about his case. This older man that turned in front of him
Yes.
was a grandfather going to a church to see his granddaughter in a performance.
I'm sure he felt horrible.
He did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you know, in our business, we'd rather have a scallywag
Oh, yeah, right.
be the
Exactly.
at-fault party.
Yeah.
And maybe going to a bar rather than going to church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, we had to balance that with making, you know, giving him advice. What would a jury do? A jury's not going to be mad at that man despite these horrendous injuries, because
Right.
there was probably, other than chasing his family, that man was as sorry about it as
Oh, I
anybody.
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it, like I said, when I talked to Chase, and he was always upbeat, and I'm glad he recovered the way he did,
Yeah.
and I'm glad we were able to help him.
Chase, can you talk a little bit about how you were starting to get healthy and get well again, and how the Whitley Law Firm was able to help you along the way? What specifically, tell me about the things that they were able to help you with.
They helped me with getting compensation for all of my medical treatments and
medical
stuff like
treatments,
that.
right.
I had a lot of physical therapy that I had to do,
Okay.
and I had to stay out of work for a long time.
Right.
And they got reimbursement from the missed work and dealing with my work and getting the hours and stuff that I missed.
Right.
They just
Things that you may not think about, right?
yes,
That-
like everything that you might not think about. They really already knew what to do and what questions to ask.
How meaningful was it for you, though, to be able to have a team on your side that you knew you could turn to?
It helped a lot, and I want to talk about Nikki. Nikki was the best.
Sure.
My case manager. She called me almost every day for a while, and talked about different things and kept me motivated, and that was awesome.
I hear that a lot about Nikki. In fact, I had to comply with a Nikki request before we came out here
Oh, you
to
did?
get a picture of Chase.
Oh, okay.
And send it to her.
We know who runs the firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Chase, and you're a bit of an entrepreneur, I
Yeah.
understand. Tell me what you've done.
Since my wreck, I've actually left my previous job, and I've opened my own business now. I have my LLC and everything called Carolina Speed and Performance.
Good for you.
I rebuild transmissions, and
Okay.
I have my own shop, so it's pretty cool.
And motorcycles, cars, everything?
Everything.
And he had this kind of side business like this
Yeah.
at the time of the wreck.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was barely able to walk
Oh, I bet.
or
Yeah.
lift anything of any weight,
Yeah.
but he continued that business because I would ask him sometimes, Chase, how are you getting by financially?
That's
And
tough.
he said, well, I'm getting a job here and there and I'm doing that. So I think he's got a special skill. I don't think he's an ordinary mechanic transmission builder. And
I've just, it's been a necessity. I had to take care of my dad. My dad's actually disabled, and he's disabled while I had my wreck, and I was taking care of him before my wreck. So after that, I had to do what I had to do to provide for my family. So
Let me ask you this. Think about this for a minute, and take some time to think through this. But if you were to talk to a friend, a neighbor, a relative, what the Whitley Law Firm has meant to you throughout this whole process, how would you verbalize that?
they meant a lot to me. They helped me. Like, I couldn't have done all of the legal stuff on my own, and they're very professional and they care. I feel like they actually care about their clients.
Right.
And that's the difference that you get with them versus another
Sure.
law office.
And I'll tell you, Drew, Chase had a great story to tell. Now think about it. He's a young man, going to school he wanted to get his associate's degree in engineering so he could go on to get a 4-year degree, was working part-time, and was taking care of his dad who had some physical limitations. And we got a hold of that story, and we learned as much as we could, and it kind of gets back to what you've heard me say, that we have to listen to our clients, because at some point along the way, we're going to be their advocate. We're going to be in front of we're going to be on the phone with an insurance adjuster. We might be on the phone with a lawyer for the insurance. In his case, we were at a mediation where they had lawyers there on the other side. And there's no way that I can tell his story spending 5 minutes with him before that mediation,
Yeah.
trying to learn about it.
Right.
So all these conversations that he and I had over the months, they were registering with me.
Absolutely.
And I remember going back to get my notes. And so I guess that's a message maybe to other lawyers. We need to listen to our clients more and better than we do.
And Chase, it's been an honor and a pleasure listening to you today. Thanks for joining us so much.
You too. Thank you.
And we're going to take a short break. We're going to be back with our final segment of Attorneys on Call right after this.